So after I made the last video, and I've watched it now at least 20 times to bump up my numbers so it looks like there's more than one person watching it. Uh, no, thank you very much for everyone that watched it. I started thinking, I titled it, Is Our Handmade Guitars Worth It? But the fact is, all guitars are handmade. Like this indie guitar that was made in Korea was handmade. There were people with their hands polishing and adjusting and giving a setup and sanding and painting. It's not the automotive industry where there are machines that pick up the parts and paint guitars and everything and drill the holes. The metal bits, the hardware are machined. So what do I mean by handmade? What do I think people mean when they talk about handmade guitars? For example, this one that I was talking about, the Strat, is a handmade guitar in the sense that was Matt Loxley, one guy, or maybe him and his dad, that made this guitar. It was a single person or a very small team, sometimes it's also referred to handmade, that's using some tools, some power tools even, electric sander and things like that, to make these guitars. I don't imagine he was using a hand saw to cut the body or to sand it. So this is what I mean by handmade. It's our guitars that have small operations that are completed by the same person. For example, this Eastman, it's handmade in the sense that it was made by hands without power tools apparently. No electric sanders were used or harmed in the making of that Eastman, which I'm yet to believe because it just seems such a foreign concept to me. But there are multiple people involved in making and milling the wood and cutting the woods and staining it and putting the hardware and assembling the electronics and making sure that the setup is correct and buffing and polishing and all those things. Here, I believe it was all Matt Loxley, and with my double cut that's over there that you saw in the last video was Ravswood that made it. And over there I have a pit back. That's an older gentleman, and I believe it was also him that did it from beginning to end. That's why I meant by handmade instruments that previously would be considered very expensive, and now we're starting to see, not only from new, but in the used market, great deals to be had in these single used. It's like, I'll talk about this guitar one day. It's a nice guitar. It's a good guitar. Again, handmade, so it has its pros and cons compared to a production line guitar, for example, a Fender Professional. Even a Gordon Smith to a certain extent, although they are handmade because they are made by hands, they are a production guitar because there are multiple people involved in making the instrument. Or for example, when there is a standardized set of specs, it becomes a bit less handmade in that sense. But this is what I'm referring to. Single one-off custom instruments made by a single or a small person. That's my definition. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, keep playing, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.